Today we are going to deal with the lesson Growth and Development. The objectives of this lesson is to understand the concept of growth and development and difference between the growth and development, to understand the principles of growth and development, and to understand the factors affecting growth and development. We often hear people saying growth, the child's development. Are the growth and development the same? What does each term mean? Now we will see what is the actual definition of growth. How can growth be defined? The term growth denotes to a net increase in the size or mass of the tissue. It is largely attributed to the multiplication of the cells and increase in the intracellular substances. According to Hurlock, growth is change in the size, proportion, disappearance of old features and acquisition of new ones. Growth refers to both structural and physiological changes. Development specify maturation of the functions. It is related to the maturation and myelination of nervous system and indicates acquisition of variety of skills for optimal functioning of the individual. According to Hurlock, a development means a progressive series of changes that occurs in an orderly, predictable pattern as a result of maturation and experience. According to J. E. Anderson, development is concerned with the growth as well as those changes in the behavior which result from environmental situations. So, after having understood what is growth and development, now let us try to differentiate between growth and development. Let us see. Growth is used purely in physical sense. It refers to increase in size and length, whereas development implies overall change in the shape, form, structure resulting in improved working or functioning. The changes is a quantitative aspect in growth, whereas changes is qualitative or characteristics rather than quantitative aspect in the domain of development. Growth does not continue throughout lifespan. It stops when majority is attained, whereas development continues throughout the life and is progressive. Growth involves body changes, whereas developmental involves change of an orderly, coherent type tending towards the goal of maturity. The changes produced by growth are subject of measurement. They may be quantified, whereas development, the improvement in the function and behavior, hence bring the qualitative changes which are very difficult to be measured. All aspects of development have followed a particular pattern. Development is governed by certain principles which are applicable to all human beings. Development involves a change. The human being is never static. From the moment of conception till the time of death, the person is continuously undergoing a change. Now, we will see what are the principles governing the growth and development of the child. There are certain principles governing the process of growth and development. These principles are common for all the children. They are called the growth axis or growth gradients. Growth axis or growth gradients are the directions of the physical and physiological changes in the human body. Developmental changes also follow the same sequence. There are three directions of growth. They are cephalocaudal, proximidistal and differentiation. Now, let us try to understand each principle of growth and development. Cephalocaudal. The physical growth occurs downwards from the top to the bottom of the body. For instance, during the prenatal period, the brain and the nervous system develop first, followed by the developmental changes in the lower part of the body. After birth, in postnatal years, the infant gains control first on the total head movement as well as the movement of eyes and mouth. Then it gains control over the trunk movement and finally the leg movement. So, that means the physical growth occurs downwards from the top to bottom. Proximodistal. The control of movements matures from the central or proximal areas of the body to outer or peripheral areas. For instance, the infant gains control over its body, then its arm movements, hand movements, and finally the finger movements. Likewise, they gain control over the leg, foot, and finally the toe movements. The third principle, differentiation, that is from mass to specific. It refers to the direction of growth from mass to specific process or activities, so that the principle of differentiation proceeds from simple to complex growth. For instance, in physical domain, the babies learn how to move their arms, that is, they are the grasp movements, prior to being able to oppose their thumb and index finger while grasping a rattle. Grasping a rattle is a specific movement. Young children learn to walk before they learn to run, skip or hop. So, the growth is from mass to specific, that is called differentiation. Now, we will see some more principles of growth and development. Growth and development are orderly and sequential. Human growth and development is an orderly process. The sequence of growth and development is clear for physically based functions like the locomotion, grasping, whereas for cognitive and other social based functions like the thinking, reasoning, morality, play, the behaviors, the sequence of the development is not clear. The individual variations in growth and development. Individuals follow the same pattern of sequential changes in growth and development. There is, however, considerable variation among the individuals in the rate of growth and development. For instance, the children vary markedly in the height, weight, and other dimensions of physical growth. There are critical periods and sensitive periods in the individual growth and development. Critical period is a period of time when a given event will have the greatest impact. The only point in time when particular environmental factor can have an effect on developing organism. The critical period in prenatal development is the first 2 months and peaks around the 4 weeks of conception. For example, if a pregnant woman is exposed to drugs, X-rays or certain diseases like the German measles during the first 3 months of the pregnancy, it would result in the structural deformity of the embryo since the organs are formed at this time. Development occurs at different rates for different parts of the body. Different parts of the body show somewhat different growth patterns in relation to the age of the child. The body growth includes the skeletal growth and growth of internal organs and external organs. The organs show rapid growth during the prenatal period, infancy and early childhood and adolescence, rather than the school age. For instance, lymphatic system consisting of thymus, the lymph nodes and intestinal lymphoid mass reaches an adult level by 7 years. The neural system, that is the head, brain, the spinal cord is almost fully developed by 6 years of age. The reproductive organs grow very slowly until the adolescent period, at which point they undergo a very rapid growth. Development proceeds in different stages. Each stage has certain unique characteristics. The total human lifespan is divided into various stages, as each stage has its unique behavior patterns. In each stage, certain traits or behavioral characteristics stand out prominently than the others. For example, in neonatal stage, infancy, early childhood stages, they are distinctive from one another. Growth and development are related and continuous. The process is both quantitative and qualitative. For example, a child's digestive tract is an illustrative example of this principle. Growth in size permits the large intake of food in a single feeding. The change in structure permits the digestion of more complex foods and increases the efficiency of converting the more complex food into the simple forms which can the body use. Growth and development are correlated and integrated. Growth and development do not occur in isolation. Both are interrelated with each other. While the child's body grows, he masters the physical skills. Similarly, as the brain grows, the child's mental development also undergoes a qualitative change like the reasoning and thinking, etc. Points of accelerated and decelerated growth. There are periods of accelerated and decelerated growth. During infancy and early childhood period and adolescence, the growth is rapid, but not in school age, adulthood and old age. Individual differences. Each human chromosome contains 1250 genes. 23 pairs of chromosomes interact with each other during the conception. They combine in nearly 8 million combinations, which bring out the individual differences among the children belonging to one family. Every person is biologically and genetically different from the others because of this genetic endowment. The environmental experiences also add to these differences. So, each child is different from the other child, even though the children belong to the same family. These are some of the principles governing the growth and development of the child. We have talking about the development growth from the beginning of this lesson. Now, let us see what is the different types of development we are going to see in child development. Physical development. Physical development is most recognized and observable change in the life of a child. It includes gross motor skills like walking, jumping, running, catching, hopping, etc. Fine motor skills like the painting, drawing, doing up the buttons, using a spoon, writing, all these come under the fine motor skills. This development is largely dependent upon the child's health and the nutritional status of the child. Next important development is cognitive development. Cognitive development, it focuses on how children learn and process the information. As the children grow in age, they can understand their environment by using their senses like seeing, listening, touching, smelling, tasting, registering information in their minds and effectively retrieving it from their memory. Cognitive abilities like thinking, reasoning, problem solving, memory and development, all these come under cognitive development. Social and emotional development. The seeds of this social behavior are sown in the infancy itself. Young children also enjoy the company of their friends. They develop social skills like cooperation, patience in their interaction with the peers and others. Can you think of the times when you felt very happy or sad or angry? All these are the different types of emotions. Emotions are stimulated or moved state of mind. Emotional development is the ability to control and manage one's own emotions. It is important that the children in their early childhood are surrounded by the people who are emotionally mature and stable and are able to manage their emotions. Language development. Interacting with others is very important for the day-to-day living. We all interact with each other through various methods of communication like writing, speaking, sign language, facial expressions, gestures, several art forms also. Language is an important medium of communication. It is a form of communication that uses words, symbols to express our thoughts, feelings and desires. These are the different areas of or types of development. After having understood what is growth and development and having understanding of the principles governing the growth and development, let us now have a look on the factors which influences the growth and development in the child. The physical growth and development depends upon the heredity and environmental factors, which includes the sunlight, fresh air, food, climatic conditions, freedom from infections. Not only these, there are many other factors that affect the growth and development of the child. Physiological factors: genetic, neurological, glandular, maturation, adaptive capability. These are some of the physiological factors affecting the growth and development in the child. Genetic factors: there are two types of cells. The somatic cells, they develop into internal organs like brain, of the body parts and different internal organs. The germ cells, they are the reproductive cells which transmit the traits, predispositions, a wide range of characteristics, vulnerabilities and response patterns. These all have effect on the growth and development of the child. Now, let us look at the neurological factors. The nervous system is one of the most important and influential systems of the human body that contributes to the growth and development. The quality of nervous system determines the response patterns of the individual to all the environmental inputs. The two hemispheres of the brain have different functions. The left part or the left hemisphere specializes in verbal activities such as speech, writing and other forms of expressive communication. The right hemisphere deals with the non-verbal tasks such as mechanical work, artistic and spatial abilities. Development of more than the other hemisphere brings about different sets of abilities and skills in the individual. Glandular system. The endocrine glands secrete hormones, the chemical substances which affect the growth and development and health of an individual. The hormones regulate the rate and pattern of development, functioning of all the internal organs and also the brain. The deficiency of thyroid activity during the growing year stunts the physical and mental development of the child. A very active thymus gland will retard the normal development and keep the child physically and mentally childish for too long periods. Deficiency in the secretions of parathyroid gland results in defective bone growth and hyperexcitability of the muscles because the calcium levels in the blood is regulated by the parathyroid glands. Deficiency in the activity of the sex glands delays the onset of puberty, while hyperactivity brings about the precocious sexual development. Extreme cases of gonadic hyperactivity may lead to early sexual maturity. Sometimes it may happen even between the 3rd and 4th year of age. Physiological maturation. Maturation is unfolding innate organic pattern in an ordered sequence through the growth of organs. That is, maturation involves readiness in the individual to learn a task or a skill. Many capacities emerges only when the child is ready. For instance, a good muscular coordination requires the maturation that comes around 2.5 or to 3 years of age. Therefore, maturation goes hand in hand with growth and development of the child. Not only these, we have some other very important factors affecting the growth and development of the children. The environmental factors. Environment. the social factors including the socialization, the family, peers, education, socio-economic status, the culture, all these come under the environmental factors influencing the growth and development of the child. Socialization. It is the process through which a child is shaped into socially acceptable individual to fit into a culture. Becoming socialized means that the individual behaves in a way that are acceptable in his culture. The child gets socialized by the agents in his community. This process is fundamental to social development since it develops social attitudes, behavior, social roles and skills common to that culture. Family. Family is the first and most important socializing agent in the life of an individual. The family passes on the attitudes, values, goals, prejudice, perspectives to the child, which in turn shapes the child's behavior. Parents are the key agents in the social development of the child. For instance, a highly controlling family environment where the parents dominate the child tend to develop a either submissive or rebellious child, whereas a democratic family environment builds confidence and self-reliance in the child. Peer group. Peer group consists of the individuals of approximately the same age and social class. Peer group assumes the increasing importance in the life of a child, from the momentary playmate in the childhood to influential partners in adolescence. Peer group reinforces behavior, attitude and develops varied social skills, emotional responsiveness, moral standards and behaviors in individual. Society. Society provides certain rules by which we have to live. The societies affect the individuals in various ways across the lifespan. Communities in which the individuals live provide framework for the socio-economic life. After the family, the school is the most influential social agency in the life of a child. Most of the development in childhood years happen in these two social agencies. Physical factors. Physical factors such as rural-urban living, climatic conditions can have a great influence on development. Depending upon the physical conditions, the individual development occurs. For instance, the cognitive development varies according to the opportunities for play and learning development in their physical environment. Nutrition. Proper nutrition is very essential for the healthy development of the children in terms of physical and mental qualities. The nutritional status of the children reflect the nutritional status of the community. The children who had suffered once from severe protein calorie malnutrition in early childhood years may suffer from permanent stunt in physical growth and mental abilities. Physical defects. Physical defects place limitation on the child's ability to deal with the environment. The most common physical defects among the children are visual and auditory impairments, orthopedic disabilities, speech defects, hair clip, cleft palate, central nervous system disorders and heart diseases. Some of these are congenital while some others are the result of illness or accidents. Development and progression of these children is usually below that of a normal child. For instance, a blind child are slower in walking, feeding, dressing themselves than the other children who have normal vision. Psychodynamic factors. These include the self-structure, self-concept, self-ideal, self-identity, the behavior patterns, personality traits, values, attitudes and adjustive mechanisms. I have After seeing the environmental factors, now let us move on to see the personal factors. Personal factors include intelligence, health and position of the family. Intelligence. Intelligence is a component of development but is also a critical factor that affects the development. Children with high intelligence tend to progress well in all the other components of development too, whereas children intellectually retarded show poor overall development. The developmental research indicates that children with high intelligence achieve developmental milestones earlier than the children with average or lower levels of intelligence. Health. The frequent health setbacks are detrimental for the development of the child. The child's development is adversely affected by loss of physical stamina, indigestion, poor assimilation of the nutrients. Position of the family. Position of the child within the family also has an effect on the development. It influences the development more than the environment than through the natural factors. The second, third, the fourth child in the family generally develop quickly than the firstborn, not because of any pronounced intellectual differences, but because the fact that the younger children learn from imitating their older brothers and sisters. On the other hand, the youngest child of the family, especially if distinctly younger than the other children, is apt to be slower in his development because he is more pampered or overprotected. These are the various factors affecting the growth and development of the child. So, today we have learnt what is growth and development, what is the difference between growth and development. Then we try to understand the principles followed by the growth and development. After that, we try to understand the various factors, the physical, environmental and hereditary factors influencing or affecting the growth and development of the child. So, we understood that the growth is a progressive increase in the size of the child or parts of the child. Development is a progressive acquisition of various skills and it emerges from simple to complex tasks. We understood the importance of assessing growth and development. Each child's path or pattern of growth and development is determined by the genetic and environmental factors. The genetic factors determine the potential and limitations of growth. If favorable, the environmental factors such as adequate nutrition facilitate the achievement of genetic potential of growth and development. Some of the unfavorable factors like malnutrition, infections, congenital malformation, hormonal disturbances, disabilities, lack of emotional support, lack of play, lack of language training, all these hinder the growth and development of the child. Hope you have understood the concepts and the principles of growth and development. Thank you.